Welcome back to Scouting for Growth. I am Sabine VdL. Today we are diving into the great insurance infrastructure rebuild, where modern cores and vertical AI are turning paper avalanches into straight-through reality. Here's a punchline for investors, CVCs, and innovation leaders. Carriers that modernize core IT run 40% more policies per FTE and cut IT cost per policy by 41% versus legacy peers. This is a stat from McKinsey & Company. Meanwhile, 70% of insurance IT spend still keeps the lights on for legacy systems, budget that could be compounding into product agility and growth. And with full stack digitization and automation, operations OPEX can drop up to 40% over the decade. Add AI to the mix, and we are seeing 20 to 40% lower onboarding costs where domain-level rewiring is done right. Our guest knows this terrain cold. Indeed, she knows it very well. Bobbie Shrivastav, co-founder and CEO of Solvrays, is building AI-driven workflows that aim to eliminate 70% of manual back-office work with governance, with auditability, and with human-in-the-loop controls directly built in. Formerly the COO, co-founder, and CISO at Benekiva, she scaled there a team from 3 to more than 110 people and served over 20 insurers. She's also the co-author of Momentum Makers and Builders, and it was an honor for me to write the foreword of this book, and also the co-host of Insurance Sync. If you are evaluating Series A, B opportunities, scouting CVC, pilots, or leading core modernization, this episode is your field guide. Moat and metrics, we will dive into what makes vertical AI for insurance defensible and measurable. Time to value, we will go into compressing sales and implementation cycles without cutting corners. On risk, change management. Our goal also is to dive into how we augment teams as veteran talent retires and new talent ramps up. Strap in. This is where category-defining execution meets enterprise-grade governance. Bobbie, welcome to Scouting for Growth. Hi, Bobbie. Thank you so much for joining me on Scouting for Growth.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Sabine.
Well, so excited to actually get to really talk about Solvrays and what the name means and how this new project came about. But before, let's go into a little question I prepared for you. On a scale from paper cuts to paper avalanches, where are most carriers today, and what is the first shovel Solvrays hands them?
I love this question. I would say after talking to so many carriers, both on the life and P&C side of the house, I would say life is still in the paper cuts way, and P&C is, I would say, somewhere in the middle. and the first shovel, interestingly enough, that Solvrays is focused on is how can we, when the work comes in into an organization, not everything is digital. Things are still emailed, faxed, mailed. So the first shovel we give to a carrier is let us get the information from those manual sources and extract the information so that if they have a case management system, we could then place it and triage it to the right person. So what we're doing is even with one shovel, we're eliminating 5 to 7 touch points in just that small process alone.
Incredible. So let's go through some introduction. Who is Bobbie? What is Bobbie's path? And then please give us some understanding as to how Solvrays as a name came about.
So a little bit about my background. So I have been in corporate majority of my career. I started off as and I've been in tech. So I would summarize my background as being in technology because I come from a development background and I served operations, whether it was at Pepsi, whether it was a division of AIG called United Guarantee, whether it was Center for Creative Leadership, where my mandate was to turn a paper-based classroom into a paperless experience. And it's not just taking a document and making it a PDF experience. It was truly this immersive experience at the Center for Creative Leadership. How my journey progressed into getting into the startup world was 10 years ago when I was a brand new mom. My maternity benefits was tied to a disability product. And my only digital option was a fax machine. Coming from a technology point of view, I knew that I had to double fax the document because I know enough about the fax machines and how they break. And my question to myself was, and along with my partner, was why does in 2015, why am I faxing a maternity claim form, which was I'm at that mental challenge of taking care of a baby. I have to go find a fax machine, which I carried my daughter and was like, Kinko's, take my form and double fax. So that was the journey that led me to build DocsMore, which was our mission was how do we get more out of documents and how do we make that a digital experience from a PDF perspective? We wanted to be the DocuSign equivalent and make it better. And that journey took us to meeting another founder in the space for claims when we heard that the statistics that he shared was 68% of claims go unclaimed for one reason or another. And we had built a tool that allows for this, we could potentially eliminate, but we went down a path of building Benekiva. And last year was a great opportunity to say, hey, let's go solve some of the bigger challenges because we've solved the claims piece. But what we noticed when we were working with carriers is why does solutions like ours, like new business solutions, underwriting solutions, claim solutions, you name your solution, why is it so fragmented, as well as from an operations point of view, and why does it take us so much longer to work within a carrier? And what we did was we built Solvrays. So think about Solvrays as that command center where for new business, we have how does data come in? We can orchestrate it. Same thing with underwriting. And for any other processes, we want to be that acceleration systems because you're going to have your core stack, such as your new business solution, policy admin, your claims, your docs, your fraud, all of these different systems. But from an operations point of view, why are we still manually pulling, pushing, reviewing data? If we can accelerate that, now the process gets more cleaner, more efficient, and we can ultimately serve the customer. So in my disability workflow, for me, I know that me as a person, there's me wanting to be served. But I also know from an operations viewpoint, there's another staff that is working with duct tape systems trying to serve me. And how do we eliminate that duct tape? How do we make that clean? And that's the mission for Solvrays. It's solving real problems. And we want to be that ray of hope for the operations staff for back office.
So solving real problems, meaning from chaos to, I guess, a category, which is fascinating to me. Partly, you have touched upon a key point I hear often, and I think it is something insurance need to start thinking how they solve for that, which is reputation, right? How do they improve their reputation when they think that the customer they are going after is disillusioned to see any claims being paid? So let's pick one back office workflow, right? And let's get people to really understand how this works, whether we are going to look at a beneficiary change or at the claims intake, what is today the as-is map, how things works and how it looks like. And you have not even talked about artificial intelligence just yet. And so what are going to be the touch point, the straight through rates, the error reduction, the FT hours saved by looking at the new world you are building with Solvrays?
So let's actually go even earlier into the value chain. Let's talk about new business operations. So we know from a new business perspective, we have so much portal technology out there. Carriers are either building their own, they're partnering with different new business solution providers. However, people are people. Agents are agents. They are going to use the different tools, and oftentimes they're just emailing those documents. Even customers, if they have any information, additional information, they may choose the portal route, but they may, once again, people are people, they may choose an analog route, which is mail, email. What we do from a Solvrays perspective, in fact, we demonstrated that beautifully just at LIMRA. What we're able to do is when an agent sends an email, we're able to get a new business application. We're able to extract the information. We understand that this is a new business application, and we're able to take that data and integrate it into the new business solution. What would have happened before is somebody would have checked an email, somebody would have gone to the new business application and keyed that in so work could move on. We eliminated that touch point. And if you know new business solution integrations, they're complex because it's not one-to-one. There's reflexivity when it comes to new business, especially on the life insurance side. Like if I'm trying to buy a new life insurance policy, it's not like, hey, click here, fill out these questions. These questions have tentacles. So that integration is very complex. We were able to integrate and optimize and accelerate in 4 hours, Sabine. Data comes in, data goes into that integration for the new business application. The agent sees the data, and then they could take it to the next step. That's how we are accelerating new business operations, as an example.
Yeah, no, and I think that it's critical because I was having a conversation earlier today. I buy my insurance Lloyd's of London or with a Lloyd's of London carrier. And once upon a time, it would have taken probably 2 weeks for me to get a quote from that insurer. Today, I guess I can get the quote in a couple of hours with all the technology which is out there. So why, from your vantage point, why insurance-specific technologies, right? And partly I want to go into AI now. Why are those beating generalist tools? Because technically, you could actually go for generalist or you can go for insurance, vertical specific, you are saying life and health related platforms. Which domain primitives, right? Whether it's an accord artifact, policy claims, semantics, maybe some audit trails as well, makes your platform, your models, your guardrails, right, defensible.
What we decided from a Solvrays point of view is we'll pick on the new business side of the house. That's very fresh in our minds. We understand that from a market perspective, these tools exist, but 40% of the time, there's still going to be that paper trail. So what makes us, from an industry point of view, superior is we've innovated in the space for the last 10 years. We understand operations very intimately. And our goal was, how can we accelerate insurance? There's a personal story point of view too. Once you're in insurance, they always have a joke, Sabine, right? You're going to always stay in insurance. So the journey of how do we make better? LIMRA has this statistic that they have published over and over again. 102 million in US alone are underinsured and uninsured. When you look at the industry, there's amazing products. Why are we unable to serve? So that's why we're starting off in the new business journey flow, because if we're going to solve that problem, let's make things faster, right? There's a bigger piece to the 102 million, but from a tech perspective, if somebody's interested, why are there so many abandonment rates? Is because we're unable to serve them in an efficient manner of time. It takes you 2 hours because you're using digital tools. But if 40% of the population is using analog and it could take 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, how can we reduce that through back office acceleration to make that 2 hours, right? In fact, in our world, we do it in minutes, right? That's the power of what we're trying to educate and bring to the industry is if we can couple technology solutions and orchestrate them in a clean way, we will have better new business operations. We will have better underwriting operations. We will have better policy servicing operations and so forth and so forth.
So to help our listener really understand your positioning as well, so you mentioned 102 million people underinsured or not insured. We have this number as well we use all the time, which is the Swiss Re number, which is $1.8 trillion of underinsurance protection gap that we need to address globally. So it's not a small number. So when you start looking at what you want to solve with Solvrays, are we dealing with PNC? Are we dealing with life and health only? Are we actually starting enabling the digital interaction? How do you deal with a young Gen Z as much as you deal with an older person, more potentially?
Yeah, I think this is where technology, when it's applied, it's the best. And when we look at the opportunity, for our first focus was life, right? Like we're in life and health space, so let's innovate there. However, in our journey, a very short journey, to be honest with you, we officially launched our platform in April. However, when we start talking about some of these key messaging, PNC came to us and said, we're having the same challenges because service is service, especially when we start looking at commercial insurance. That's very interesting, where agents bypass these portals and they go straight to the underwriter. So our goal is, let's alleviate these, like this going straight to the person. Let's alleviate that. Why do they go straight to the person? It's because these processes are inefficient. Even though you've got tech, it's still inefficient. How do we make it better? How do we meet so the agent can use the tools that they're comfortable with? But from an experience point of view, if it takes you in the portal 2 seconds, why can't we make the analog process maybe not 2 seconds, but 4 seconds, right? It's still fast. It's still fast, right? So that's the power of how we're starting to partner with different industry leaders in the space and offer that acceleration layer.
So let's talk about how you are giving that customer love, right? Because you said it's not just life and health, it's been PNC are knocking on our doors as well. So read us the line from an ops leader that make your team high five. What changed in their day to day after go live?
So the message that we want the operations team to say is, we no longer are in a duct tape world. We are in a world where no matter where we're meeting where the people are at, no matter what their technology of choice is, we're still able to serve the customer without a duct tape.
That's super cool. That's super cool. So let's talk about moat and math, right? How we can do 10 times better with Solvray. So if you could whiteboard for us your stack, right? What three boxes make copycat suite? Let's say data flywheel, workflows, connectors, safety rails, right? How does each deepen over time?
So we started off, when we think about our moat, it's really blending in our expertise with the way we've built our technology. Our technology is within a carrier or a partner's ecosystem, which means we're not your traditional SaaS model. It's not like pay as you go. We're not doing any of the variable charges like per application or per workflow, we're going to charge you. Because this is our proprietary software, we're able to deploy it within their infrastructure. Now, from a security point of view, Sabine, it's cleaner. The data is not going into happy land. It's controlled within a carrier environment. How we're able to integrate within newer systems and legacy. So from a legacy point of view, 74% of our industry is still tackling legacy. We're in the state. How can we, if I'm in a mainframe environment, if I'm in a modern tech stack, how can we, from a customer point of view, they don't really care that you're still using mainframes or you're still using new technology. They should not feel a difference. And it's the connectors that we have that allows us to connect to legacy. We're using agentic AI. We're also doing database to database connectors. And then from newer systems, we're using APIs. So that tech stack of how we do back office workflow becomes very powerful, competitive in a competitive way with that. Our third area is building out different accelerators
Okay.
for our carriers. So, for example, we do the workflow orchestration, like a business process management layer. How we fuel it is by leveraging AI. We leverage AI from an extraction perspective. If they don't have an extraction engine, we have one. We accelerate operations. We have a document generation engine. So if they need to produce any type of artifacts like correspondence statements, we have created that accelerator. In the life and annuity space, we've created a calculation engine because not everything lives in a policy admin. There's still areas of the operations that live within actuarial spreadsheets. So how can we start to absorb that from an operations lens so that they're not having to go back and forth to actuaries? And then from an agentic layer, how can we push data to a mainframe without human keying? We understand that robotics is here, it's been here for many, many years. However, how we're differentiating ourselves is leveraging AI and not having the failure rates that we see with bots right now. So because we understand insurance and the dynamic nature of that, that's like our sweet spot. This is why we have built a vertical specific solution for insurance, whether it's life and health or P&C. Service is service, right? That's what my friend will tell me. We're able to really accomplish and accelerate operations.
So I want to unpack this a little bit. Mentioned core system. Yes, the biggest problem within our industry is legacy system. And so whether we think about even, core system, which are modernizing, like a Guidewire, a Duck Creek, you may actually work with a Salesforce.com, an SAP. I assume this is, for you, normal BAU, because you know that any insurers out there will be operating into a main, well-renowned core system. And they have to keep this, right? They don't have a choice. They are a regulated industry. So you can work around that with your connectors and your APIs. So that is the first question. The second part of my question goes into two ways. First is, you mentioned the actuaries working maybe on spreadsheet, but hopefully on your system. So how do you work with external system to the core system, enabling the underwriter, the claims manager, the actuary, but then also working with the new systems. We have all those amazing insurtechs, right? With, data first platform, whether they are dealing with underwriting or claims as well. So how do you handle the old and the new whilst also knowing that we have to deal with legacy?
Yeah. So the think about the insurance value chain and all the like if you were to go to a department store, there's different departments. So we oftentimes talk about our layer as being the command center. So each department, like let's say we go to a clothing store, the clothing store will have a shoe department. They'll have a men's section, a women's section, a kids section, right? There's all these jewelry sections. So our goal is each one of these sections will have their tools, core tools. The goal is how can we connect to these core tools so that from a operations and from a value chain perspective, we're orchestrating information so that people aren't instead of having people as gatekeepers from system to system, we're using AI powered technology to enable that. So instead of people saying, I go from new business, I hand it off to an underwriter, I hand it off here, we're becoming that command center because you're going to have your core, like your guide wires of the world. Life has so many different systems, right? But that command center layer allows us to flow from department to department. So think about a multi-line carrier. When a customer calls in, they don't need to know that my request, does it go to Guidewire or will it go to a life system? When a call comes in or when work comes in, if we can do that command center, like in a department store, if we can serve them versus handing it off in a manual way, now we're able to serve them very quickly. So if they did a digital order, they don't say, oh, you can only order shoes from this department. Oh, and by the way, here's a different system for your men's department or women's department. Because of that layer that we've created, now we're able to serve a customer ultimately through that experience so that it's cleaner, it's more efficient.
And they can actually pick and choose what really are the most
What
important.
matters? What matters? So when request comes in into a multi-line carrier that touches P&C and life, it's straight through because we understand that particular request has both it has to have both touch points. It doesn't need to go to one department and somebody in the manual world forgets and then they're reporting it over and emailing and saying, hey, you need to tackle this. What happens if they don't tackle this? What happens if they don't email? That's where we see a lot of these errors, issues. That by having this centralized command center allows us to like navigate these complexities in a cleaner way.
Yeah, and what you mentioned, the 102 million people who are underserved, underinsured, or not insured, many of them probably they drop out of the process and could not be bothered to go back to it. So
Yeah.
let's talk about trust, compliance, and governance, because this is an area that we always have to talk about when we meet the carriers. How do you earn the trust of the CISO, right, the Chief Information and Security Officer? How do you get him or her to say yes? Walk us through, role-based assets. How do you help them, monitor? How do you help them access? How do you help them remove biases, test for the validity of the model, making sure that there is a human in the loop to make sure that they are satisfied as a CISO?
Yeah. From a CISO point of view, the way we are deploying our technology, that's number one hurdle that they can breathe because it's within their firewalls, right? So we know that from an overarching data, where it goes, where it doesn't go. is controlled within their environment. The second piece is that every single workflow that we work with them on has logs, has role-based permissions that they can set. So if there are any issues, they can quickly see it in their fingertips, and a visual and a log record of what's happening. The third piece is that every time we generate a workflow, we have a test option. So you can test a workflow with synthetic data to make sure that the operations is going smooth before you would push it to production. So those are the ways, those are the guardrails that we've created to help a CISO. Outside of that, as a company, we're a young company. We already are putting security first, and we're going through a SOC 2 process. So, and that's on our software development lifecycle.
Yeah, congratulations. And these are the type of things any insurers would probably ask you first. Information security, how secure your systems are and how they can make sure that you protect their businesses because you are using proprietary technology, right? It is your tech to enable them to serve their customer better. So let's talk about implementation, right? What is the time to value playbook that Bobbie has put in play? So from signature to the first go live, I think of one workflow maybe. I'd love to hear how long does that take on average, right? How can you make sure that you can treat the classical traditional insurance sales model and then apply a much leaner, much more comfortable implementation cycle, which, integrate partners, but also make sure that integration is done right. And as you mentioned, synthetic data into the sandbox, but also that we can also try with real data.
Yeah. Our model is once a signature is done, to do one workflow, our goal is 2 weeks, not months, not years, 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
So here's the thing. I say 2 weeks, but from a carrier point of view, they have to be ready. So when we start to really work with them, our confidence is the way that we give confidence is really putting that human in the loop. Like, hey, you've tested it, right? Within the 2-week cycle, it won't take us that long to set up a new business operations workflow. We proved it with a partner, 4 hours to do that work. But if you want to test it, now you've got more time, more capacity to make sure things are testing. And the more partners that we're starting to do this type of work, now carriers have the confidence that, hey, we understand the integration. Even if it's one thing I know, if I was to integrate with admin platform A versus admin platform B, the integrations, data is data, insurance is insurance. There may be a couple more fields, but that new business integration, very complex, is going to be it's going to be similar to a platform B. That's our goal is as we do these use cases, now we're able to confidently say we did this integration in 4 hours. Maybe if it's another partner, it may take 6, but we're not talking weeks. We're not talking days. But now from a capacity point of view, from a carrier, you have more time to let's make sure we test this out. We get our staff prepared. And we say 2 weeks, our goal is 2 weeks. If we're creating a dent in the industry, where I've seen most anxiety in business and in IT is implementation. It could drain your team. Our goal is if we can build our integration layer, orchestration layer the right way, you don't have to be so tensed. You wouldn't necessarily have the capacity issues of this doesn't work and my partner is going to charge me like crazy amount of money to get that's why we're here again to really create ripples. I call it dense ripples in our industry. How we do it is cleaning up our implementation process. And that is the tech that we've created to make sure no matter how data comes in, you may in day one say, I wanted to go to a human to always approve. But after 3 months, It's repetitive steps. They're doing the same process. Now you can automatically update, like it can do straight through processing, but that doesn't take months. Potentially that could take weeks.
Yeah. So when you look at those team and those 2 weeks implementation, how many people do you need to help you do that? Because I hear here it's a cultural change, right? It's not really technological transformation. It is mental, cultural transformation we are talking about. So how do you get the buy-in? And then who needs to be with you from a career viewpoint to make this implementation a success?
So first is we have a AI assessment readiness uh, uh, piece that we're telling our carrier as part of our pilot, our proof of concept. If we want to start looking at and reviewing all your different processes to see low-hanging fruit, is your team ready for AI? Let's do that type of assessment. And we're helping in that piece, but we're also partnering with really good partners that are change management experts into that process. The second piece that we've done, Sabine, I'm a product company. I'm the tech layer. I'm partnering very smart at the beginning to say I'm bringing on a system integration person with me because insurance, every carrier is going to be complex. If I'm talking to a tier one carrier, it will be lots of different stakeholders versus a smaller carrier. So, how we work with that carrier, we have to also have a system integrator. That system integrator for us is Enforce, right? For Enforce, they're a boutique company that loves to solve problems like us. And by partnering early, they were my second partner that we onboarded. They are learning the platform, they're in it. So that's where how we can confidently say 2 weeks, right? When we work with the carrier, not only do we need to have business buy-in, we also have to have IT buy-in. And IT buy-in means enterprise architecture. Our solution, if we were to create this ripple, it needs a partnership, but with both business and IT. And that's how we were able to solve this. Enterprise architecture loves us because it's super easy to deploy. It's in their infrastructure. Security people love us. Enterprise architecture loves us. And then and if they want to do it, right? Like the key is we want them to give these tools so they could do these workflows after one or two that we've set up. Now we've created that. Now we've empowered their IT to work with new technology so they're not dependent on us. So we eliminate that dependency factor, but the business and IT partnership with any project, whether it's our solution or another solution, is the key to success.
Yeah, and I love the Enforce team. So let's continue our conversation around the 10x, right? How we drive 10x. So I think when you think about our listeners, they would want to really understand what that means, how that feel like, how that looks like. Without disclosing any confidential information, right? Share your best time and motion study. What is the payback period and who pockets the savings? Tell us, who was your champion and who you saved during your implementations.
So I'll walk you through a very recent one that we're still in our early phases, but we've got early insights that we would love to share. It's a partnership between business and IT. I love it because they're on our calls. And not only are we in our proof of concept, they're with us. They're with us. We're able to that email box example that I shared with you, how information comes in, we're going to be able to do 70% more efficiency in that process. So, what would take them not just time, but resources as well? What a request would take by the time it would come into their case management system would take anywhere from 5 to 7 business days. We're able to shrink that to minutes. So that's the efficiency play, but there's also human in the loop play, and that's why we've said 70%. So this is us proving out our messaging as well. It's going to be actually higher once we're in that phase of putting this into production. And now we'll start to get even more. But our early successes has been very good. And that's just from one proof of concept that we're in underway. The second one, we're so excited about the second one because for this particular carrier, not only are we going to optimize their new business process, but with leveraging our capabilities of agentic AI within their policy admin system, we're going to yield back insights that they never had from a reporting point of view. And now they are able to see metrics, how much new business is coming in, how much is pending, where they're at. Are there any errors? Because there are people, in the legacy land before us, they're still keying in data.
Yeah.
Now we can start to create more data validations and bring them in insights to say, hey, where are the errors? Do you have this fact? This application came in last week, but in your data that we've seen, it shows date of birth as 1865. Did they just fat fingered it? Should it be 1965? Those are the data validations that we can finally do for this particular carrier. And I'm very excited, very, very excited because they've been doing those things manually. They've been auditing their system in a manual way and post audit. We're able to now automate that and give them insights and let them choose what they want to do with that data.
That's fascinating. So I heard we are moving from CapEx to OpEx, right? We can do the project in 2 weeks. We should actually get the value within the first quarter if we
Yeah.
actually go into production. But then the second part is insight. Now I also know where my money is coming from and what I need to do better to actually scale my growth. So let's talk about owning the Ops OS now, how we scale, how we team, and how we get capital as well. So how you become the Salesforce of insurance operation, Bobbie? Not a point solution within this environment. What is the modular roadmap or the modules on that roadmap which start building an ecosystem that becomes a playbook, a playground for success?
No, it's a great question. So it takes this journey, we're on this journey by partnering smart and partnering with industry leaders in our space that want to solve real problems. So if you look at our partnerships, right? Like we've announced a formal partnership with the company Manage My. They're doing life and P&C. On the customer experience, they've got more capabilities. Our second partnership is with Enforce System Integration. We're announcing very soon a third partnership with the policy admin system. That is the playbook that as a CEO of Solvrays is I am looking for partners that want to be on a journey. They don't have the mindset of, oh, I'm just going to build all the tech. Here's the thing with insurance. You never, as carriers, they don't want to put all their eggs in one solution basket. That has bode them very, very bad. But if you have a partner ecosystem as a carrier, if there's issues, they can quickly replace these point solutions. Our goal is to fuel these point solutions and be that acceleration layer for a carrier. So first strategy is partner smart, right? Not partner to do these fake fake press releases to say, hey, we partnered, actually doing the partnership. And you saw that in one of my examples. Like we're very close to doing a partnership announcement with a few of the policy admin systems as well. The second piece is we are on an investment journey, right? We are, on that journey of raising funds for our company because a company with a strong roadmap and a strong point of view and vision takes capital. It takes outside capital as well. So me coming from a bootstrapping principles perspective, I'm raising funds to help accelerate our growth. And the third piece is that how do we are on our side really looking at building an engine that not only allows carriers to see value in a very short amount of time with the way we're doing pilots, but also creating this playbook of how we can implement smart so that they can get the value in quarter 1, not install. It takes like 4 months or 10 months or 2 years, and then the ROI, gosh knows what happens to the ROI. We are being very strategic about how we're implementing our capabilities so that they can ease their way into this AI jungle, right? That all of the carriers are in.
Yeah, and I want to echo, what you are saying. We are going to meet quite a lot of investors just in a few weeks' time. So I want them, those who are listening to this conversation, to remember that you will be at ITC Vegas and you are going to be ready to meet with them. But let me put my investor hat, right, from go-to-market to geography. How do Hire Innovation Labs or you, when you look at your Southeast base, compress CAC and create pipeline, right? How do we expand when we start looking at Solvrays?
Yeah, our goal, we're starting off in North America. We've got really good use cases on the new business side of the house that we're tackling because that's revenue for a carrier if we can expedite that. So if we can help accelerate revenue that's coming into the door, that allows us growth into other areas of the carrier operations, right? Like such as servicing. So that's our number. That's how we're tackling. From a market perspective, where we are focused on the carrier base that is not your largest, they're like your tier 2 level, and then they're not the smallest, but they have an IT staff, right? Because for us, the last thing we want to do is become their IT, right? So that's how we're approaching go to market is let's target this. I'm in the middle of building a really strong sales and marketing engine because as a founder, you can't just have one-shot conversations to build a pipeline. It takes volume, it takes repeat messages, and it takes investment for us to go and meet those individuals at the right time. But we have to now in this age of social media, where our mindset is so much smaller. Our goal is how can we reach them in the most efficient way with the right messaging so that they can see the value that we're doing. So that's like a lot of our go-to-market strategy along with onboarding partners. The more joint co-selling we're doing, it just broadens our pipeline up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the co-selling, the partnership, leveraging the platforms and relationship will actually be a great way to actually shout out the Solvrays name and for people to know Bobbie across the United States. Let's talk about something else which comes often during my conversation with hires, but also with investors, which is the people and talent gap issue, right? We have a lot of our veterans retiring right now. And you won't believe, Bobbie, but over the past 3 weeks, I've had so many conversations with chief claims officers and chief underwriting officers who actually shared, they are recruiting a lot of new talent. So, they need to package up the old talent, the retiree talent skills into little boxes, right? So that the younger people are able to learn from the more mature and expert people. So how do we start managing this AI anxiety around the fear of job replacement and job loss? How do we help younger people get up the rank within our insurance industry, which is a great relationship-based industry? How do you plan at Solvrays to upskill analysts, to upskill people coming into your organization so that, those clients you are trying to serve who are regulated, right, still have this mindset around customer experience and human in the loop.
So when you talk to the study from, I don't remember what source, it was 2 years back, Sabine, it was like 50% of the insurance industry is retiring by 2030. Now it's 2028, which is less than almost here. 2 years, right? 2 years. So this is why the need to accelerate operations in a clean way becomes so critical, because as you bring new workforce, how long does it take you to onboard an employee in your specific department using your legacy tech stack? How many of your newer employees get excited to use these function keys to learn the process? It's not going to happen, right? In fact, that's the attrition rate that we're seeing in a global way. Whether you do it in-house or whether you're like, hey, I'm going to just offshore operations to overseas, they're having the same issues with younger talent. So you can't push your problem away and offshore your problem. They're going to have the problem, right? They're having the same challenges. So if we can start to really introduce these type of cleaner solutions, the key is acceleration. It's all about acceleration. And that's our goal, is how can we accelerate so that we can attract the new employees. But the other piece is this knowledge that industry veterans are having. Why aren't we able to use that and leverage AI to do knowledge management so that we can get their best insights from them as we train the newer generation on insurance, right? Like insurance basics, right? So
Yeah.
that it's an exciting, we're in that cusp of retirement, newer technology, AI anxiety, and our goal is AI is not here to replace. Here's the thing, it will replace jobs, right? It will replace jobs if you allow it, if you embrace it, and if you use it as a tool to make my job faster. Why am I doing 70% manual work and operations while AI can do that? Now I've freed up capacity to do more innovative work, value added work. That's what a company needs, is a person that loves what they're doing, leveraging technology to expedite all this mundane stuff and open up opportunities to absorb additional work that's more cognitive load. I'm really tired of the excuses that I used to hear from carriers that said we need to give easy work as well as complex work because humans don't want, they can't handle it. Why would we have that mindset?
Correct.
No. If it's manual, it needs to be automated. Now we've freed up a person and we're not paying them overtime. They get quality of life back. They're in PNC. How many times do we hear at certain periods of time they're hiring temp workers or somebody is working overtime because of the volume of work at the seasonal changes? But if you had AI, you wouldn't have those challenges, right? If you apply AI in the right way, you won't have those challenges. And you're actually setting up for growth. If you clean up operations, growth will happen. That's in my career across Pepsi, AIG, CCL has really taught me those principles.
Yeah, we have to have that growth mindset. And I think I want to echo a few points you've just made as well. Jobs are going to change. It's not about job replacement, is we are going to do new things. It's like during the Industrial Revolution when the machine came about, right? The job roles change. But now, when you think about the human, hopefully we all like to be stimulated. For me, it's about critical thinking, problem solving, creativity that artificial intelligence can allow us to actually get into. We need to actually want to actually use our brains, though, as well. But I think when you talk about the veterans retiring and the new population, boxing that best retiree capability and potentially That is the opportunity. People are retiring. I mean, we've heard that we've moved from 2030 to 2028. The reason why I show you two is because I think it's going to go down to probably 2027, and we are in 2025. But the key thing is people are retiring early because they want to become board members. They want to actually enjoy some different type of role. Why don't they, before retirement, get this great project to box for the organization their really, really best work so that the AI can actually take that information to train the youngest people? We have this upskilling and reskilling issue, which we need to address massively. So great opportunity to rethink how we do business, to rethink how we treat people, how we train people. And at the same time, we're not scared that the fact that technology is there, it's not going to go anywhere. But it's not about replacement. The jobs are going to change.
And Sabine, one of my friends that's been in the industry for almost 30 years always shares this statement that I can't, there's experience that, this feeling that you get when you look at an item. If we had capacity to share those stories with the newer generation versus the veterans that are just doing work because they're don't have the capacity. Now those veteran employees can really train, in fraud scenarios, right? Think about fraud. They have this expertise of all these different cases and situations, but it's freeing them up to actually do this. We used to call it in my old job, like in my Pepsi days, we used to do like these KT sessions, knowledge transfer sessions, or desk. We used to call it like you're riding around because Pepsi is a bottling group. Like you rode around to see the operations, but you could do these rides, right, with your staff to like really start to share these stories because AI is an enabler. It's a tool, right? And if we orchestrate this, you're doing more of that work, and you have the capacity to train these different stories, right?
Absolutely. So let's talk to those investors who are out there. If you actually raise a $8 million round, right? Series A round tomorrow, what would be the milestone you would want to unlock, right? What would be the things that you would be able to do with those $8 million fundraise? And I also want to know, Bobbie, okay, 1 year after that fundraise, what will be the things you need to have done to get the next one?
Yeah, I think, when you're starting to look at like these types of bigger raises, right? We're in a smaller raise right now, we're just getting started. But, as I look at our company and the growth and the impact that we want to create in the industry with the substantial amount of capital, like with that raise, our goal would be to look at these complexities of insurance is vast. Insurance is very vast. So what are the opportunities to look at operations in a different way, right? Like right now, we're coming in from an efficiency point of view. But what if we looked at it from flipping in its head, right? Like, is there an opportunity for operations to like yield value-driven insights that could fuel growth, fuel for the carrier? Those are the things that we will be able to do, right? It's unlocking opportunities from a carrier point of view. From our team perspective, I have no desire, as a CEO, to say I have built a team of hundreds of people. In the age of AI, we can be lean, we could be mean. Our dollars go in to create impact, which means impactful use case exploration, bringing in expertise that can unlock those opportunities and attack, right? So we want to, like you said, if we were to become the sales force for insurance, that will allow us to unlock that capability that we are becoming that orchestration layer to improve operations. We want to own back office acceleration space. And how we do that is through impact, creating impact, impact, impact.
Impact, impact, impact. So let's look at this fictitious investor. I've decided to call him Jordan Chen. So Jordan Chen, right, is your investors. He actually gave you some funding. What would be the headline you want him to send him 24 months from now? What metrics, pack sentences prove that Solvrays is the operating system for insurance back office work?
The headline that I would want to give him is we took your investment and we took our revenue to 10x. And the key is we're also, because of our lean and mean nature, we have become X amount profitable. We're not spending money just to make revenue and then spending, spending, spending. We have to be smart business people. That gone are the days of getting a big raise and just blowing through the money with frivolous activities. I'm not that founder. I'm not that founder. So how do we become more profitable so that we can take these profits into bigger investments? And and our goal would be the number of customers we impact. What are the insights that we've unlocked from a productivity, efficiency, even money? Like how much growth have we allowed the carrier to do with our platform by having our platform in their ecosystem? And then what's the lives impacted in terms of the operations people and the customers that now they're able to serve, right? So that is the headline that I would like is it's all about impact, right? Because we don't know what the future holds, but if I can 10x my revenue, increased our profitability, created impact when it comes to the numbers of lives that we've been able to touch and served in the most efficient manner through growth and through service, like I would be very proud as a founder.
Yes, and we've heard today that when you think about you, Bobbie, and Solvrays, right, we have a need to literally sort out the messy legacy problem. There's no doubt we need to actually do that in a measurable way, right? And what you are trying to do with Solvrays is cut manual work, compress cycle times, and build trust and governance with your customers. You want also that not only the customer, the investors realize that building growth is not just about workflows. It's about building an operational environment which is reliable, which is transparent, which is sustainable for the years to come, leveraging artificial intelligence and making sure that that platforms is responding adaptably and flexibly of the needs of the insurance of tomorrow. Now, I love hearing that it's not just about life and health, because I know you for life and health have been a Kiva. It is about life and health and PNC. So the size of the market is significant. Let's remember there's $1.8 trillion of underserved insurance out there, like people with no insurance, people who do not know how to get the insurance, and not only 102 million just in the United States. So there's a big problem. There's a sizable problem. And I'm really, really happy that you're here to solve it.
Yes. We have to create ripples in our industry. We're that founding team that is on a mission to create ripples. And we've been fortunate about the partners that we're onboarding that have that mission. We're proud of the team that we've built that is with us in our journey. And then we're proud, most importantly, to our early customers that have taken that risk with us to build a better insurance operations. Because if we have a better insurance operations foundations, we will be able to do more growth with less, spending less. But it has to be clean, has to be seamless. I don't care how complex your environment is, it is achievable, but you just have to have the right partners on your journey from a carrier or a third-party administrator point of view.
So, Bobbie, if a carrier or an investor wanted to reach out to you, what do they do?
they email me at bobbie@solvrays.com, or I love a good LinkedIn connection, and because I'm very active on LinkedIn, and you can find me on LinkedIn.
Bobbie, thank you so much for joining me on Scouting for Growth. I can't wait to hear how many of those carriers and those investors come and reach out to you.
Thank you so much, Sabine, for the opportunity. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Scouting for Growth. Please subscribe, share with friends, and leave a 5-star rating. Your rating is so valuable. I review all of them, and my team help me adapt content to meet your needs. Also, connect with me on my preferred channels. I am a B2B growth expert, so you will find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Threads, and X as well as Blue Sky. All information available below. Until next, keep scouting for growth.